This, my friends, is the Weem Amp Ultra. This could be the best value in hi-fi that exists today because it competes with products 6 times the price. Technically, everything competes with stuff 4 to 6 times the price, but not everything does it nearly as well as the Weem Amp Ultra. And today we're going to talk about it, and we're going to talk about how it compares to the Weem products, as well as the Cambridge Audio Evo 150 coming in at $3,200 and the RuArc R610 coming in at $1,900. And this is $550. So sit down, grab a cup of coffee, and if you sign up for the Cam Coffee Club, you get this free Cam Coffee Club mug. And we just got a new flavor in, Nicaraguan Death Punch. Hello, the internet is a great place because it lets you watch me, but it's also a bad place because there's companies out there that take all of your data and sell it. They're called data brokers. Scammers also target certain people based on age or ethnicity to run their scams. And they buy all of that information because it's offered up by some of these data brokers, and it's curated based on age. Identity theft scams also buy information from data brokers. But worse than that, you get robocalls because your info is out there on all of these databases. So how do you stop it? Well, you use Incogn. They're today's sponsor. It's super simple. You just create an account with Incogn. You give them permission on your behalf, and they search for your information on different data brokers' sites. And when they find them, they do an official request to get you removed. Once you sign up for Incogn, you get a dashboard and you see how many requests they've sent out, how many requests have been fulfilled, and how many requests are pending. So go to incogn.com/cheapaudioman. Use the code cheapaudioman to get 60% off your annual plan. Online privacy is really important to me because I made a video one time and I ticked somebody off. Anyway, they looked up my information, found my phone number, my wife's phone number, and harassed us relentlessly for over a month. Problem is that more and more lists exist, more and more databases are being created, and you're probably being put on those again. So why not give Incogn a try today? They're gonna work on your behalf to get you removed from those databases. That's incogn.com/cheapaudioman. Use the code cheapaudioman to get 60% off your annual plan. Thank you, Incogn, for sponsoring today's video. Okay, we're going to talk about who Weem is. If you're not familiar, we're going to talk about what this thing does differently, what it does well, what it doesn't do great, or at least what I wish was a little bit different about it. We're going to talk about how it sounds compared to its much more expensive competition, and we're going to talk about how it sounds compared to itself. Not itself, but some of the other Weem products. And then finally, I'm going to give you my opinion about it. Okay. If you're not familiar with Weem Products, they came on the scene, well, since I started the channel. So they came out with a little music streamer that you could stream Amazon Music, Tidal Music, I think Qobuz, Spotify. So if you had a subscription, you could use a Weem product, hook that up to your stereo, and well, stream lossless music. So no MP3s, no AirPlay, no Chromecast or whatever it's called. The point is that this product, the Weem products, came out at a significant cost savings to the customer, to a point where the Weem Mini kind of made Bluetooth receivers stupid to buy. Because with Bluetooth, you were getting a degradation in the music. Because you could just buy a Weem Mini for $80 compared to a Bluetooth receiver that was $150. Anyway, it was a big deal. But Weem continued to double down, triple down, and got better and better, and released more capable, more feature-packed products. It seemed like every 3 months. They came out with the Weem Pro, then they came out with the Weem Pro Plus, then the Weem Amp. which was like this, except no screen. And then the Weem Ultra, which is like this, except no power amp. That's my favorite Weem product. Then they came out with another Weem amp, the Weem Amp Pro. And then finally this one, the Weem Amp Ultra Pro Plus next generation. No, it's just the Weem Amp Ultra. Yes, that's what it is. But why Weem is important is because they've done this at a third to a quarter of the cost of the competition, including Blue Sound or NAD using Blue OS, Cambridge Audio, Eversolo. At this point though, you have an integrated amplifier with a screen that displays album art, and the closest competitor with a screen and an internal amplifier is the Blue Sound something. It's about $1,000, okay? So this is half the price. The Weem products also do something that the more expensive competition doesn't do, and that's a lot of the features, like room correction, bass management, EQ. Nobody at the price point does as much as Weem does with the DSP stuff. It's jam-packed. What is new with the Weem Amp Ultra? This is utilizing the Texas Instruments 3255 amp chipset with PFFB. Reduces distortion with different loads, something like that. Makes it better, okay? It's the latest and greatest thing. This thing is rated at 100 watts per 8 ohm loads. Now we will talk about that later. It's also got better heat dissipation. It's got a copper pipe inside. With these smaller Class D amplifiers, getting rid of heat is very important to be able to actually hit their rated power ratings. Because heat is the enemy of power. I've been a big proponent of Weem products, well, since the first one that I reviewed or did a video on, because they give you so much at the price. And because I'm the cheap audio man, even though some people say, you're not the cheap audio man when I do a video on the RuArc R610. Listen, I already made the logos. I did the artwork. T-shirts have been made. So the name is sticking. And most of the videos that I make are about stuff that is affordable, under $1,000, under $600. I'm still the cheap audio man, even if I talk about something that is expensive every now and again, okay? However, there are some things that I don't like about the Weem Amp Ultra, and it's not really just the Weem Amp Ultra. It's pretty much all the Weem amps, and that is the lack of preamp outputs. Now, there is a way around that. The reason I think there should be preamp outputs is you could get this as your one and only amp, okay? So let's say you save up some money, you're gonna build an awesome system. You can only afford this. You're getting a lot. You're getting a streamer, you're getting an amplifier, you're getting DSP, you're getting HDMI ARC, an optical input, a USB output and input, an analog input, a subwoofer output, and bass management. However, you can't really grow with this product. Now there's a way around that. The USB, you can use it as an output, and you can put that into a DAC or a USB to optical converter reclocker for about 60 bucks, and then you can take that DAC into another amplifier. So there is a way to kind of get a digital preamp out of the Weem amp products. But it would be a lot easier if they just had a pair of RCAs. Also, they don't have a phono amp inside. If you look at the back of the Weem Ultra, it has an integrated phono preamp. It's not great, but at least it's there. I don't know, maybe it's harder than I think it would be. What I like, it's simple to use. And granted, the menus are getting a little bit more complicated because they keep updating it with more and more features. However, this is the only product that my kids can use unsupervised, and it doesn't cause me issues and have to be tech support. Literally, the only HDMI product that I've had, I think since the inception of the channel, that hasn't dropped an HDMI connection. There has always been HDMI hiccups with other products. Not so with the Weem Amp Ultra, and that might be worth the price of admission alone if you get calls whenever you're out of the house because the kids can't get the TV to work, or your spouse can't get the TV to work because the amp, the HDMI, is letting you down. There's a lot of value in reliable HDMI connections for me. It's unbeatable at the price. Absolutely unbeatable as far as the streaming services and the DSP you get, okay? No one can compete. No one can really compete at twice the price. But I'll put it to you this way. You can buy this and a very nice pair of speakers for the same price that you would pay for the Blue Sound. I was kind of surprised at how big of a difference there was between the Weem Amp Ultra and the Weem Ultra with the VibeLink, because that package comes in about $100 more, maybe a little less. And I think the VibeLink and the Weem Ultra is way more dynamic. I think it just seems effortless to drive a big load or a heavy pair of speakers on it. I have the Q Acoustics floor standing, the new 3000 series floor standing speakers. Through the Weem Amp Ultra, it was really good. It was very detailed, but it wasn't as natural sounding and it wasn't as dynamic as the Weem Ultra with the VibeLink. Comparing it to the RuArc R610, they had similarities, but the RuArc had more dynamics. It just seems like everything else hit harder. The Weem Amp Ultra didn't have the punch that the other amps had. Now, that was with a flat EQ, so you can EQ some bass into this thing. Comparing it to the much more expensive, 6 times more expensive Cambridge Audio Evo 150, it couldn't hang with the Evo 150. And I don't particularly think that the Evo 150 is a super, dynamics is not the thing that jumps off the page when I think about that amplifier. But the Evo 150 has next level placement of space and next level instrument separation. And the Weem Amp Ultra just didn't match up to any of them, really, to the Weem and the VibeLink, to the RuArc or the Evo 150. I don't think it makes 100 watts because I was turning it up almost full tilt. I think I did get it full tilt, and I wasn't getting into the 90s as far as SPL. Part of me feels like there's a bit of a governor or something that's compensating for headroom on this amplifier so that it doesn't get into clipping, because I've never really had an amp that you can just turn up 100%, be rated at 100 watts, and not be able to drive a pair of speakers into the 90s. And because it didn't distort and it didn't really feel like the amp was struggling at all, it leads me to believe that there's something internal that's limiting either the current or the power itself. Maybe it's the power supply. I don't know. I just know that this doesn't sound or doesn't feel like it's putting out 100 watts. It's kind of getting repetitive with Weem. Whenever they come out with a new product, everybody just raves about it. And I think at the price point, this is an incredible product. I can't get over what they keep doing at the price. Now, we're finally getting to north of $500 with a Weem product, and I still think this is an incredible deal. Since I started the channel, I don't think any other company has done more as far as aggressive advancement in product releases, aggressive advancement in product features, and to have a platform that can unlock over-the-air updates and unlock significant features like room correction. And at $550, I think this is an absolute steal. However, could I live with this as my only amp? No. However, this could live in my bedroom because my wife watches a lot of TV. It could live in one of my kids' rooms. It could live in a den, in my hi-fi tent. But what I could live with is the Weem Ultra and the VibeLink. And that comes in at $630, I think. I think Weem's biggest problem is Weem, though. Because with the VibeLink and the Weem Ultra combo, you're getting one extra plug. You're going to have to run an RCA, and that's it. For slightly more money, you're getting better sound, better dynamics, a better experience. And because this is so small, adding another box the same size isn't really that big of a deal. But if you want convenience, if you want a one-box solution, this is it. If you want a screen. Now, if you don't want a screen, get the Weem amp, the first gen or the second gen. But let's face it, you're gonna want the screen. If you want to watch my dedicated video about the Weem Vibe Link, I will link that right here. So don't binge watch anything on Netflix or Hulu. Binge listen. It's getting heavy too. Maybe through the Weem Amp Ultra. Don't forget to sign up for the Cam Coffee Club in the description.